Hi yogis, it's Candy. Welcome to another mindfulness practice. Today's practice is a mindfulness practice called mindful observation. And you can do mindful observation in a lot of different ways or a lot of different places. My favorite way to apply this is on a hike or a nature walk, or when you visit a park and you have an opportunity to be surrounded by plants or trees that are interesting and maybe even a little new to you. Because having an opportunity to explore something that's a little bit novel that we haven't experienced before, it's a little easier. It gives us an entree into this idea of coming back to something with fresh eyes. And so we're going to try it today with a candle. And the way that mindful observation works essentially is you choose an object to observe, whether that's a specific species of tree or plant, an insect. I once watch a spider build an entire web. And so you could, it could be something like that. It could be watching the waves roll in on a beach if you live at the coast. We're going to use a candle. So what I've got here is just a regular, candle. You can use any kind. What's important is that you can see some elements of it. So I have like the depth that the candle is inside the container. There's a flame that I can see from, wherever I might place this. I'm going to just hold it in my hands. But, you can set it on a table in front of you, on a coffee table or something like that. And you just want to be able to observe it and look at a couple of different elements of it. So if I were observing a tree, I could observe the texture of the bark, the shape of the leaves, the way light strikes the tree in a given moment in time, how that might shift over time. And so you choose a time for your observation, and it can be any amount of time. For our purposes, we're going to do a couple minutes. But you can extend this out longer. And the task is to try to get so focused on our object of observation, whatever that object may be, to get so focused and so in tune with that object that we really notice how things shift over time, and we let all the other qualities of or tasks isn't the right word, but all the thoughts that go on inside of our head, we want to try to let those go into the background or even stop altogether so that our full focus is on what we're doing. That is the definition of mindfulness, is to be fully focused on what is happening in the moment rather than allowing those thoughts and scripts and repetitive neural pathways to continue to roll around in our mind. Now, I've discovered, at least for my own purposes, that it's really hard to quiet them down, but I can sort of let them go into the background a little bit. So I've chosen to use a candle tonight, and so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a look at this candle. So I'm holding it so that I can see into the flame, and because I'm talking, the candle flame is kind of gently moving in the breath that I'm exhaling as I'm talking. In a moment I'm going to stop talking, but I want to kind of describe what is happening here. And so I can see when I observe this candle that there is a wick that has a couple of different colors. So it's got a black portion, and then at the very end of the wick there's a glowing orange, and there's blue and purple. There's a kind of almost white color to the very end of the wick, and I can see there's like tiny little dots of these different colors, which I presume is the fibers of the woven material that the wick is made out of. And so then if I adjust my observation, I can also look at the flame itself and the different colors that are involved in the flame, how the flame kind of dances in my breath. I can notice that as I'm looking at the candle that, the way my eyes are experiencing the light is there's little like rays of light kind of coming off away from the candle. So it looks like there's almost a sunburst from the center of it. If I turn the candle a different direction, I can see different colors in the flame. I've had this candle burning for a few moments, and so I'm noticing now that there's a puddle of liquid wax that's being created in the bottom of the candle, you know, around the wick, around the flame. And then there's wax around that that's much harder. And the light is playing interestingly across the surface of that kind of different temperatured wax. And so those are just a few things, but that's the idea. Hopefully you get the notion, which is like, just what do you see? What are you noticing? And if you can't see, if you're blind, you could, or you have some other vision impairment that maybe prevents you from detailed seeing, you can do this with texture. So you can touch something, and like, oh, my favorite thing are like fuzzy leaves of plants. There are lots of houseplants that have kind of a fuzzy or velvety texture to the leaf. So you could hold a leaf in your hand, or you know, something else. You could observe just, you know, if you have a pet, like a cat or dog or other creature, you can, you know, while you're giving them a little pet, you can just observe the texture and the quality of the fur. So there's lots of, you don't have to use just your visual sense. You can use any sense. You can do this just with the sense of smell. And so take a few more moments with whatever it is that you're observing. And you can stay with this kind of practice for as long as you like. The more things there are to observe, the more enthralling it is. One of the things I love about a candle observation is when you close your eyes, there's a kind of switch around on the eye. You can still see the candle, but the, you know, the light and dark changes. So the places that were light are really bright where the flame is, that becomes black. And then there's other kind of colors and phenomenon that you can see on your, maybe it's the retina. So that's mindful observation, yogis. And we did a mindful observation practice the first day where we ate a tangerine. It's very similar. In this case, we're going to limit our task to just the one sense. Visual is the one that I went for tonight. But again, it can be any sense that you like. So I hope that you'll allow yourself to try this a little bit and try it in a couple of different contexts, using different senses. Choose one sense, whether that's your touch or smell or taste or a sight, and allow yourself to observe carefully some aspect of your surroundings, and connect to the element of that. So in the case of a candle, I get to connect to the element of fire. If I'm around a tree, I might be connecting to an element of earth or wood. If I'm at the beach, the element of water, or at a, you know, watching a stream trickle. So, or if you're in an urban environment, you might just observe as you're taking a shower or as you're brushing your teeth or something, you might just observe the flow of water out of a faucet. It can be any moment. Mindfulness happens every single day, all around us, wherever we are. So thanks for joining me once again. Hopefully you'll join me for all 30 days of mindfulness at any point, and namaste.